All right, guys. So we're coming to you here from Minnesota and Texas, respectively. I'm the Dead On Leprechaun. I'm joined today with Digital Profits and Agent X. So this is the Digital Climax Kings coming to you on Monday, the 28th, 2022. So we got some stories and some updates we wanted to share from the weekend, and we'll let everybody say hello and jump right in.
How's it going? I'm
Hey,
Josh. Sorry.
No, you guys are
go
good.
go ahead, agent.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm Josh. I'm a developer out of Texas. And a side note, I just realized Digital Climax Kings almost sounds like a porn.
That's kind of the point, Agent X, because we're just giving the whole world an orgasm every time we play.
That's right.
Ooh! And I'm Digital Profits coming out of Texas as well. I'm a Web3 developer, one of the finest, along with my man Agent X. And you can't see me because it's dark out, but loving it out in the country, guys. You should, well, Agent knows. Leprechaun knows he's up in the wild north. It's a little colder,
Yeah,
but
up in
okay,
the.
guys. Well, I'm excited for this show today because Agent X was telling me some crazy stuff about hydroponic gardening. Leprechaun, you were telling me some interesting stuff, so I'm gonna like just sit back and kind of be try and be quiet, more quiet than usual.
One funny thing, well, it wasn't funny, which I saw on the news was that the Ukraine, those videos, they actually had live like videos of helicopters and stuff getting shot down was actually from an army simulator. And all the like pictures of wreckage are all fake. They came from like a video game, and I'm like, wow, what's going on? And then I think Biden State Department had to change something he was talking about um, regime change in Russia, and so the State Department's trying to clean that up so we don't all
Wow.
die. Yeah, he literally said Putin can't stay in office. He can't stay in power. And people were like, what are you talking about? And even like the French president, Macron, he was like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, just shut up. We don't want this to get worse. But no, it turns out they say that Putin's presidency is going to take half. I won't say just take, but he's going to end up like taking the half of Ukraine that wanted to be part of Russia. Um, and then aside from that, you know, I just been trying to look at like positive stuff because as crazy as things changing, there's tons of opportunity that's going to be coming up. Actually, it's going to be good, like hydroponic gardening, and I think a lot of food production and stuff is going to come back local. But you're going to have to jump on it fast because to this day, I don't see why grocery stores don't have hydroponics inside of them to grow vegetables instead of shipping. You know, you shipping them across the country and stuff. Like just grow it where you are.
That's a great idea. And they're practically set up for already, with the way that the vegetables are set up in most grocery stores anyway. With minimal changes, they could pretty much just set up and, like you said, grow it right there.
Yeah, yeah, they could. And if any grocery store uses that idea, I would really love a payment check bi-weekly for that idea.
Word. Yeah, no, and touching back on what you were saying about Biden walking those statements back, then I guess Peter Ducey asked him today about those statements specifically, and then he doubled down saying that he didn't say them, that he was misinterpreting those statements, and also that he was, the White House's press secretary said that he was talking from the perspective of an Irish person, and he got so in the heat of the moment that he didn't understand that he was standing in Poland. Like, they just came up with this like elaborate reason that he's a
So it's
vegetable.
because he's Irish. I'm black, and that's like saying we're on black people time. That is ridiculous. Like that's ridiculous.
Totally, totally. Well,
No,
that's what makes it almost worse, like.
yeah. Oh, Irish people they don't like to like. Dude, what are you talking about? That's crazy. They're gonna get us all killed, bro. I mean, you can't be saying crazy shit like that. And in the UN and talking to governments. So I think right now, I think they're realizing they made a huge mistake installing him, and they did install him because there wasn't widespread fraud because they didn't need it to be widespread. They only needed it in certain places.
Right. Yeah,
But
and I tend to agree with you. I think there was definitely
but
some chicanery, but I
but
don't think it was
here's my
fraud.
thing: if you're gonna do that to get somebody in office, why don't you put somebody who can actually talk, and you don't have to come behind them and be like, "Hey, man, this is what he actually meant." Like, dude, he could say, "Hey, look, we at war with Mars. What you gonna do then?" You black that we at war with Mars, and we gotta stop the green people from invading the planet. You know, man, come on.
Come on, man.
No, we gotta stop those little green aliens. You know, they're everywhere.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's so insane that to think that this is literally the guy who's the commander in chief of supposedly the greatest army in the world, but I'm having some second thoughts and doubts about that.
Eating pizza before the soldiers. I'm like, God, this is embarrassing. And they talk about Trump was gonna get us killed. Like this dude is literally talking about removing Putin from power. I'm like, dude, if Putin was crazy, dude, he could have nuked us right then and there. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, you're totally right about that. Like, and being that he's part of a G20, the Russia is part of G20, like to call for the removal of a G20, like if I was Kim Jong Un over in North Korea, I'd be shaking in my boots right now because he's got no cover. Like they have no, Russia at least has things that we need. You know, so if I was a dictator, I would be really considering what my options were to rally up with Russia.
Oh, the thing is,
Ooh, Lep, that's a huge point. Just interjecting real quick. I never even thought about that. Wow.
and the thing about Kim, he acts so crazy because of China. That's why he acts so
Hmm.
crazy because China could just invade him whenever they want. So that's why he acts so crazy. But I mean, they're sitting on trillions of dollars of minerals they can't even get out. And I just feel if Trump was still in office, Kim probably would have changed because you got to think, even though he's a dictator, his party was still off him if they get a chance. But I think if Trump would have won, probably would have had some normalization, and things in North Korea probably would have been better because Kim still doesn't want to be like his dad and his grandparents. Like, I think he still wants, you know, to go in a better direction, but he ain't going to go with what we got now.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, and you look at the Iranian situation where Biden had that gaffe, in the middle of a speech where he confused the Ukrainian and Iranian during the I can't think of the name of it right now, the
How do
State of the
you do
Union
that?
address.
How do you do
Yeah,
that? You need Elmo. Just bring Elmo out to talk for him. Hey, everybody. I'm Elmo.
I don't know if it's true or not,
Uh,
but I've heard that Elmo is no longer with us after getting a very safe and effective thing.
I forgot about that.
I saw on Twitter that he went in and did the thing. So he could have bird flu too because that's going around.
Hey, Agent X, can you give us a market update? I haven't had time all day. I've been in the shop working, but what's the market looking like? I haven't even had time to check. Except I looked at Looks Rare, which doesn't matter, but it's up 20% from this morning. Hello?
I think Agent might be on a quick break. So I was just going to touch on a couple of stories while he's not available here.
Agent just said, "Yo, guys," in a private chat. I think he might have got cut off. Lep.
Okay, no
Hmm,
no biggie. I'll watch for him.
okay.
We'll get him back in.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I have nothing to say about the market, obviously.
Yeah, I might just touch on some stories that were posted on various sites here. So bear with me just a second. Uh, the only thing that came up as far as So Macron scolds Biden for calling Vladimir Putin a butcher, and I guess the interesting thing about that is that with the type of rhetoric that they've already built up to at this point, I just don't see any way that we can de-escalate. Like I don't ever see us having a relationship with Russia again that is anything like what we have now. I think it's done. Those days are behind us permanently.
I was just going to echo that statement. So I think, it'd probably be more imperative to talk about like how to prepare for what's going to happen.
Yeah, I
Like
think
with
what we got to
with the
do is
global power shift.
right. I think what we got to do is figure out how we're going to live without them. That they're pretty much out of the picture forever, and even if they do come back, I don't think they're going to be back in a way that's ever going to be advantageous for us. I think they're going to be likely arming our enemies, chasing us around, and doing the disinformation. I'm really surprised, based on what everybody was saying in talking about their ability to wage cyber warfare, that they haven't had any real significant cyber attacks. Um, and the reason that's interesting is that, unless they're trying deliberately to keep that in their pocket, is something to do later if conventional weapons fail. But I'm really interested to see what their, potential is to, get back in the game with the whole cyber warfare thing. And if they do, what that might look like, because they just put a satellite. They just put a satellite up in the air a few days ago, and there's a lot of chatter that they are saying it's a communication satellite, but then there's other people saying that it could very well be armed with up to 2 warheads or EMP or both. So I mean, the fact that they're doing that kind of stuff, on a regular basis is kind of terrifying, because they had that press conference that Biden was doing, and then they shot some, rockets in basically right next to the border of Poland where Biden was speaking, sort of as a kind of a tit for tat, if you will. So it's just going to be interesting to see how this escalates over the next couple of days or weeks or, whatever.
Hey guys, I got a thought. What if
Yeah.
there's a plot twist? We all know that there's aliens, and we all saw the spaceships. My question is this: what do you think they're thinking when they intercept our video news and they see Joe Biden and the rest of these people on the internet? And is he really the person we want to be introducing the world to aliens? I'm just saying.
That's a very good question, Agent.
Try to sniff their hair, or like, what's up? Like, I'm just wondering, like, what are they actually thinking? Because they're flying around, they're seeing what's going on. So you just wonder.
Let me play off of what Lep just said regarding cyber warfare, because people are so naive. All right, let me tell you guys about a little virus called Stuxnet. Stuxnet has been around for like way over a decade, and this is it's the first, how do they call it, like digitalized weapon. And what it does, it's in like millions if not billions of computer software right now, but it's like the AIDS, maybe not like the AIDS virus, but similar, where it's just chilling, and then it only activates when like the command for it to activate hits. So that's what's been going on with the Iranian nuclear power plants back in like the early 2000s, mid 2000s. It was Stuxnet. So Stuxnet was just, you could like at the time you can still download the source code. And you know what people do that are smart with power like that? They do stuff and like implement it in technology that's all over the planet, because all of a sudden without the internet, what's going to happen to society?
Oh, that reminds me. I was talking in class. Turns out there's going to be a second Y2K, because something about the way the codes were like programmed. I think no, it's something about the number of bytes or something is going to run out again, and like it's not. This won't be due to the time. This is going to be due to something about like bytes or something that's like how you code stuff. And if they don't fix it, I think by 2038 or something like that, all computers will shut down, which is really crazy because nobody under like 24 remembers the first one.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
And then that makes you think every 25 years we have some life altering crisis that brings us closer to like a new world order type situation.
More centralized.
Well, it's
Well,
always some cataclysm every 25
Yeah.
years, Y2K or COVID or whatever.
yeah, and it's a
True.
good point. Like, and with the whole Y2K thing, being as old as I am, I remember that pretty vividly. Like, people flipping out, talking about how banks are going to shut down, like how the world is going to screech to a halt. And that all never really transpired or happened. But like our own personal computer at home, I remember it was super easy to fix, was just to set your computer's date to like 5 minutes before midnight, because you could turn off the sync, where it syncs to the internet and all that in the earlier computers, and you could just see what your computer did. And my computer had no discernible, change. And I was like, I don't know why this is a big deal. And then it turned out, when it happened, it was a big nothing. So it's like, I can't think that, as a 12-year-old kid or whatever I was, that I was the first person to think of doing that.
All right, let me jump in because when Y2K hit, I was at Bible college in Temecula, California, and so I was like leading up to Y2K that whole semester prior to that, and so we were listening to like sermons nonstop about like Y2K, Armageddon, end of days. They were even talking about Putin back then, I think, or not Putin, but Russia. Anywho, I think that's ironic, Agent, that you brought that up because Y2K, when I was 19, and it was to me like a big deal because of all these spiritual leaders like telling me that it's gonna be a big deal, and then when it wasn't, I lost
Well,
faith in a lot of them.
well, the reason why it wasn't a big deal, I found out because that single event created the tech boom in India because it literally like after it was over, I had a Tandy
Yeah.
2000, and
Ooh, I remember the Tandy
when
2000.
I switched that date over, that computer
Mhm.
crashed. And the
Wow.
reality is that what they did is they offshored a lot of the technical jobs to fix it. Because if they didn't fix it, we would have been living in like uh well you could say a post apocalyptic world. Like none of this would have happened. It's like
Wow.
yeah, everything would have shut down.
Hmm.
But they was able to fix it and embed different stuff in what we got now. But yeah. But oh, I was just thinking. I was looking at an article from 2014, and they were talking about how Russia would one day, in a couple years from then, actually go back to a gold back currency. And it was really interesting uh, reading that article because um, kind of like Uncle Joe has done exactly what Putin wanted. Like he kind of wanted his currency to be devalued so he can base it off of gold.
Dude, I don't want to like interrupt, but I'm staring at the sky right now, and there is like a star that's moving, and it blinked out, and now it's still moving. I can't film it because my phone sucks, but
Oh,
it's not an airplane.
oh,
It's a
that's what.
satellite. The
Hey,
Starlink.
It's is it Starlink?
Yeah.
That's
they
awesome.
look like little stars.
Oh, it's
Yep.
Starlink. Dude, that's
Yep.
amazing. Okay, cool. Sorry.
No,
It
but
blinked out again. Okay.
that just makes me think too. What if aliens are listening and we actually are famous in another galaxy, and we are the number
Ooh.
one radio show in another galaxy? And people are like, oh
Dude,
my god,
that's the mindset. That's the mindset, baby.
you're famous in like
Sweet.
Alpha Centauri. And if they come
So
like, what?
I could be
Sorry.
making content for real leprechauns,
Yes.
little alien
Dead
leprechauns.
on, baby. You're dead on.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's
Good
could be true
times.
actually.
Good
Like
times.
you asked about the question going back to what Agent asked, like about Biden being the I guess the organism that the aliens are probably at least aware of. Maybe they haven't been watching too much of him, hopefully, because they're all going to be brain dead too. But no, in reality though, like I heard something pretty funny about Biden today that you're supposed to eat your vegetables, not elect them, and it's like the dude is just ready to be wheeled into an old folks home. Like if what he is really saying about walking everything back and, arguing with a reporter that he didn't hear what his lying ears told him, like it's just a matter of time until that's really going to bite us when it comes to foreign relations. Because what if he tells one of our allies something that is just inherently not true, and then they go and make a decision or do something as a result of what Biden said, and then he's like, "Oh, come on, man, I wasn't serious." Like what happens in that scenario? If the American president makes a promise, but he doesn't know what year he's in, and then we have to make good on that promise. Like what happens? And then if somebody is
Dude,
really
yes.
changing, like if somebody's changing what he is, trying to convey, and the White House is walking his statements back, doesn't that make that person the president? And then the person, then that person, is basically the gatekeeper to the president because they're the one that's interpreting what he's saying to the rest of us.
Well, we got to look at it from a global perspective. We live on a savage planet. I was always raised like with violence. Violence was everywhere, like gang warfare, cowboys versus Mexicans, whatever. And the point is, like, when you have two opposing gangs, and if the leader of that gang is acting anything like our current POTUS, dude, the other gang already knows they won. Like, it's like, come on, right?
Oh, totally.
It's
Yeah,
just pathetic that
yeah,
people buy this stuff.
yeah. I mean, it is, but I mean, you could have had anybody. You could have had Tulsi Gabbard. You could have had literally anybody else, but these two, and it wouldn't be like that's bad. But
Right?
this is pretty bad. Like
And I,
he literally said on TV that the sanctions aren't just for Russia; they're for Americans too. So please explain it to me. Like
What? Can you clarify or expound on that?
no, it's just what he said. The sanctions aren't just for Russians; they're for Americans too. So he basically sanctioned us. Like we will have food shortages. Period. And
Isn't
and
that so obvious but like clever? That's evil. That is evil.
well, the places going to hurt the most are like the enclaves or liberals, like New York, San Francisco, L.A., Chicago, all those like entrenched places. And I'm like, please don't complain because this is your fault.
Hmm.
yeah, I can't even say that I think that most major cities are even savable at this point. Like I can't.
No way, dude. Well, here's the thing. You know me. Any city in Texas is safe.
Oh well,
Trust
I'm
me.
I'm
Trust
talking
me
about
on
like
this.
I'm talking about major metropolitan, like predominantly either left leaning areas or
That
areas that
I
have.
know that that's what I'm saying. Like those
But
cities are done.
what makes Texas different to me anyway, at least my mentality of what Texas is like, is that you guys have, well, first of all, you have beautiful natural resources. You have some crime from the border, but by and large, I think it's a net positive because there's so much good that also comes over the border too, in the way of, we get tons of food. I mean, if it
Mhm.
wasn't for Mexico, we couldn't feed America. So, like,
Mhm.
there's a there's a lot of places that are irredeemable because they just don't have any of those tangibles that are.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like you have to experience it to see it and believe it. But Texas, the one thing that makes Texas exceptional is the community. And I've been all over the country. There's no community more close knit, diversified, and like low key gangster than Texas.
Well,
Texas is a gangster.
it's like it's still its own country almost. It's still a republic.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, which is funny, like all the liberal controlled cities remind me of the Hunger Games. They're
Ooh.
basically the capital cities that have absolutely nothing in them, but these certain type of people, and they sponge off like the rest of the world, create all the rest of the country, creates all the food and everything, and they correspond to like if you ever saw Escape from New York on the bus scene, no, on the subway scene, on the wall is a poster of a intercontinental high-speed train system that corresponds to the same areas. but like New York and liberal cities are basically the capital cities in
Bro, that's so on point,
and,
Agent. That is on
and
point.
they act like capital cities. Like most liberal,
Mm-hmm.
they act like their places are the only places that matter. Their opinions the only place that matter, and like you are here to serve them, basically.
That's exact. You're preaching. You're preaching.
And they even dress like it.
Mm-hmm. Jay
Like,
Shoudu.
yep. I mean, the makeup and just the way that they have that weird sort of woke
But
culture to them.
but truth be all, during Biden's imperial inauguration, because that's what it was, imperial. Looked like damn Star Wars. But Lady Gaga came out there with that fucking Hunger Games pin. Do you remember that? She
Oh
wore the
yes.
fucking
Oh
pin from the
yes.
Hunger Games, and I'm like,
Everybody said that's conspiracy theory.
I mean, like, dude, these people are crazy.
Mm-hmm. Bat shit. I mean, bat poop.
Yeah. And yesterday's conspiracy theory is today's news.
It's
Like,
funny you said that because I was just at the Dollar General getting a drink, and I was looking at that National Enquirer headlines, and I was like, what's on there would sound ridiculous, but it's actually true. I can't remember, but you guys would get it.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting few weeks, I think, to see where the war, may or may not go, and then to really just see what's going to happen to the markets. What kind of instability is going to start, continue to come our way, but then what new problems are going to start coming this way too. Because I mean, I think basically our system is based, it's all interconnected, and trucks stop running food to any one or two major cities, and I think that you're going to see major fallout, like all over the country and all the metro areas. So I think it only takes one city to miss a delivery, and that could be the daisy chain that just starts this party.
Ooh,
I,
right?
yes and no, because I don't know if you remember during the riots, the truckers were saying they're flat out they were no longer going to deliver to Chicago, and if that was to happen, I think everything would have been okay except for Chicago. It's like everybody would have had some
Right.
Chicago. Yeah, and then just
Adios, Chicago.
yeah, because the truckers they're like, look, we're not going there to go get robbed and beat up and shit. You guys just won't have nothing. And I think it would have been like Escape from New York. They just would have descended into chaos, and everybody else in the country, well, they would have been fine. Which is,
Yeah, I could see it possibly going that way too. I mean, I think that they're both can be true. I think that if you're more than a tank of gas away from the city that falls, you probably be okay just because of that. That if it's more than 400 miles away, wherever the fall happens, I think that you're already automatically in a better place. Just if you're out of reach for people that are trying to do the nomad thing, because like you said, most people that have any sort of intelligence, I've preached that I think people should, bug in whenever possible, that the bug out is only for like nuclear floods,
Hey,
hurricanes, like
buddy.
things that you just have to relocate for. So I think that, by and large, that's just the way that it would have to go in under most circumstances. But, obviously EMP, that would be, the same to everybody that's in the affected area, all the same
oh
problems.
yeah, and like part of me doesn't even think like EMPs are even going to happen. And my reasoning is because the dominant countries, they're still going to need people to buy their shit. And if you're going to NPL, there's nobody to buy your shit. So I think you'll see a huge role reversal. But at the same time, I think people are prepared. Did you guys see the news? DeSantis is legalizing Bitcoin.
What's that mean?
Oh, so basically, it's like what El Salvador is doing. So Bitcoin will be legal tender and other cryptocurrencies. You can pay your taxes. But what that's going to allow is for cities and states to create currencies that are backed by Bitcoin. And
Like
technically,
we've been doing for 5 years.
technically outside of the Fed's privy because
Hmm.
it's not a Fed dollar. It's a local currency. So when if shit hits the fan, I could easily see every state doing it because every state is going to do it because I saw a YouTube thing that said that the world's going to go back to a gold standard and they're going to use crypto to do that. And
Ooh,
so
we got 10 seconds, Asian X. You got to wrap it up.
Yeah, so that was it. So
Interesting. Well, I think that can be nothing but good news as a result. Like
Sorry, I'm just trying to be
Fine.
the time guy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We can pick up tomorrow.
I always wanted to be that guy to end the show.
Oh, you've always been that guy. Don't worry.
Oh,
No,
this
but
is one of the best ever, I think.
well, thanks guys for joining up today. On
No, you guys rock. I love you both to death. This was worth it. It was worth it. Let's do it again.
Yeah. Well, I'll see you hopefully tomorrow at 8 p.m.
8 p.m. officially. 8 p.m.
Officially.
see you guys later.
All right.
Sounds
Love you
good.
guys. Late.
See ya.